I want to talk about Tao and the way I've talked to you about what Tao means. I've said it in different ways. I've said, it's male, female, it's right, wrong, it's left, right, it's up, down. It's the complements. Okay. The thing we want to understand about that, though, is that when we go from one side to the other, one extreme to the other, we've created a problem for ourselves because we've said that the world is either this nor that. So we take sides. And in taking those sides, it doesn't mean that we cannot take sides. It doesn't mean that we can't make decisions about things. What we're talking about is the energy inside, what it does for you inside. Does it pull you? See, because you have to realize that it's about peace in you. It's about understanding in you. All right? So it's about stress or lack of stress in you. So anytime you're over here or over here, stress is being created. So it's about coming to a point of understanding so that you don't experience the stress, but yet you see, because a part of our basic nature is intelligence, the ability to see and recognize what we see, and recognize whether that is plus goal or minus goal, whatever my goal may be at the moment. We can call it the sweet spot, that is standing on that line so that we experience both sides, or standing outside on the outer dimensions of that symbol and in embracing both, because both is in us. But it is our intelligence that determine how we decide without the stress. Without the stress. So look to the physical universe for a representation of that. If you look at your solar system, the center of your solar system, you have the sun. Hot. Very hot. Look out further past Jupiter, it's cold. You have Mercury, which is too close to the sun. So everything there is just hot, just totally hot. Venus is too hot to support life as you know it. But then you come to what is called the Goldilocks zone, where you have Earth. And then Mars, so forth. Life as you know it exists within this Goldilocks zone. That is, where everything is just right to support the idea of life as you know it. Tao. Neither this nor that, but the point where both come together and neither. It's not extremely hot, it's not extremely cold. Cold and hot come together and you get warm. Okay? That's the spot. Let's look at it on a larger scale. You exist in the Milky Way. You exist, if you're familiar with the way the picture of the Milky Way, how it has like arms coming off from it, like that. You exist in one of the arms of the Milky Way. Why? Well, when you go toward the center where the black hole is, and all the stars are coming in that direction, what? It's too hot. Life as you know it could not be supported there because it's too hot. Further out on the arm, it is too cold. So where do you find yourself? In the Goldilocks zone once again, where it's neither this nor that, but where they come together to support life as you know it. This is a cosmic law. To understand it, you don't fight with it, you don't argue with it, you live within it. You live within it. If you accept that, then you eliminate the stress. I am what I am. I will say things to you, and sometimes I will use words that may be, some people say crude. I don't know what that means. Because that's a judgment about way out here or way in here. Words are meant to communicate. They are meant to communicate. Okay? They're only words. When we start making them crude or this or that or the other, we miss the point. That is a person who exists in one extreme or the other. And when we exist in one extreme or the other, what we usually create is war, not peace. One who stands in the middle sees both sides and strives to create peace between the two because they are complementary halves as opposed to oppositions. We make the judgment about something in that way. We don't get it. We will ignore the energy of the point for our opinion about what it was done, how it was done. It is important to see how it's done. You see, when I stand above the idea that I see, it is only an idea and a means to an end. When I stand above it, doesn't make me better than anyone else. It just makes me see it and understand this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do to resolve an issue. This is what I need to do to resolve an issue. It's about an idea. How do we live together? How do we live together as human beings? Let's use that term. Okay. How do we resolve the issues? We like to say the issues between us. I like to say the issues within us. How am I going to do that? I have to be able to stand on the outer edges and see both sides and how they fit and what they do and how that outcome is going to be based on the issues, based on the information. I need to see that and not get bent out of shape. Because when I get bent out of shape, others are going to be bent out of shape. When they are bent out of shape and I'm bent out of shape, what are we going to have? We're going to have war. We're going to have conflict. We're going to have it anyway. There may as well be someone looking to resolve it. There may as well be someone looking to resolve the issue. In me, in the family structure, between you and I, with you and I, whatever that means. I must come to see Tao first and accept that. It's like Kevin and I had a discussion this morning. And the realization, I'm not better than anyone. I am not less than anyone. We are the same. The same thing is in me as in anyone. I understand that. What I understand is that I have come to a point in me where I see those issues exactly for what it is that they are. And I see myself exactly for what it is that I am. I must see me. I am the stability. I am that which never changes. I am. I am indefinable. I am the void. Whatever I can see in front of me, whatever idea that is, it's just an idea. It's just a thought. I panic because I see something I don't like. I have stress. I see something I don't like. I see something in me that's causing me a problem. No. Listen to me very carefully. I am that which sees. I am that which stands on the outer boundaries of Tao. And I see yin and yang. So the issue is, I am giving power to the habit that decides to take me toward one side or the other. So I have given my power to an idea. To an idea. I've given my power to a thought. Let me take back my power by recognizing myself. I am the void. I am that in which the idea happens. I am that in which the world happens. Let's go back. In the moments of the Big Bang, something happens. Space expands. Then light expands. Question for you. We say that light moves at 186,000 miles per second. I have a question. Does light move or does space move light? Does light illuminate or motivate or activate a molecule of space? And that one touches the next one, and that one touches the next one, and that one touches the next one. Which is it? Which happens? That is the question. Okay. Things touch other things. I've said to you, your senses are all a matter of touch. All a matter of touch. I see something. I say, I see it. Over there. No. Light touches it, touches your eye. Brain makes image. So it is a matter of touch, isn't it? I smell something. I smell something over there. No, there are small particles in the air that touch your nose. They vibrate, you smell it. I hear something over there. No, the vibration touches the eardrum. The eardrum vibrates. So it's all a matter of touch. One thing touches another, touches another, touches another, touches another. Now, it's a question for you to play with. All right. In reality, in truth, if touch is the way, we want to go back to the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, before when everything was together in that one space, in that one place, where everything had become so hot and so devolved, it could no longer be considered matter. And I say at this point, consider Einstein's E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times speed of light squared. So, Mass is just the opposite of that. Okay? We take out the speed, it starts to slow down, starts to cool, starts to crystallize, and we get mass. Okay? So what precedes that? Once it is broken down so far past energy, what do you see? Consciousness. It is awareness. But awareness is broken down to, let's say, mass is broken down to its smallest particle. Yet it seems to be not a particle, but it's so small, it's so fine. It is intelligence, but yet it has mass. Mass then becomes congealed intelligence. So as it expands, one thing touches another, touches another, touches another, because of volume, because of pressure, because of speed or decelerating speed. Now, we have something touching something else, touching something else, touching something else, becoming more and more solid. Now, intelligence is within all of those things, and intelligence touches intelligence. Intelligence calls intelligence. So your thoughts touches mass, affects mass, brings about the events of your life, brings about the nature of reality. Okay? Now what we have to do is we have to stand back so that we see that. Once we see that, we begin to be less involved in the sociological mind. Once we become less involved in the sociological mind, we become involved in understanding the bottom line. And understanding the bottom line, we want to solve problems. So you see the process. The process is in observation and understanding within. Because that same process that went on at that moment of the Big Bang goes on in you. Let's go back and look at it again. We come from a place of high vibration, high agitation. All right? To the point in a small volume. So the pressure builds, and then pop. Now look at what happens to us as psychological beings. We create that stress. It gets to the point where we can no longer contain it. Pop. Something changes. Now, what changes? Which direction does it take? Does it take the direction of destruction or construction? We're right back to Tao again. Does it take construction or destruction? It takes the consciousness perceiving it as to which way it will go, and the decision that we make. And the decision that we make. We make decisions based on where we stand. If you stand outside of Tao and see it working as it works, wow. We're now creating a new universe. We're now creating new ways of perceiving. Now, as we grow in that new space that we have created, as we grow in the new space we have created physically, the physical universe, we come to the sweet spot, or we come to that point, the Goldilocks zone of creation, where we are, all right, where it is cooled enough so that those small particles begin to come together around that kernel of consciousness. And we form these little pieces, and those little pieces will form electrons, and they will come together and form nucleus, and they will come together and form an atom of hydrogen. Wow. The creation of something new out of the old. Same thing with the idea structure. Now, as it cools further and the volume increases, we get more and more things, more and more elements created. In the sweet spot, in the Goldilocks zone. It is representative of us becoming complacent, happy with the new place we've created within ourselves, the new idea we've created for ourselves. We are happy. Oh, I know. Okay, I got it. Yeah, right. But you see, what happens is that the further it gets away from that moment of creation, the less speed, the more volume, the more condensed, the heavier the creation, the metal. And we all know heavy metals are poison, right? So now you're out on that other end. You're out past the Goldilocks zone. What has to happen? The process must begin again. It's the same process. It has to begin again. Break down, bang, new energy. Wow. New energy from a new place. It's why we have black holes. To break down everything that's gotten so heavy. So heavy. So what happens is it started to come back together. The Milky Way is coming back together in this black hole. And that black hole will become so dense, it will create a hole in what you call space. And it creates that hole. Everything becomes compressed back. Volume decreases. Speed continues to build. Break down to its very smallest particle. And that final particle is consciousness. To be recycled, regenerated once again. It is the law. It is the law of creation. It's the law of creation over and over and over and over and over again. In some cultures, we call it reincarnation. In some cultures. Okay. I don't call it anything, it's just what happens. It's the way it works. We call it, in an individual, we call it growth. The breakdown of the old idea that has become so heavy. It can no longer exist in that space. Boom. Now, when we look at it now, I introduce another way of thinking about stuff, as if I haven't already. Let's take that black hole. Your mind sees a hole. But here's what I want you to understand. You're looking at a hole that is a, what do you call that circular thing?
Sphere.
A sphere. You think of a hole as a flat surface. No. You're looking at a 360-degree hole, which means no matter where you look at it, it looks like a flat surface. But if you go on the side, what you perceive of the side, there is no side. Say, oh, well, the side must be around here, 45 degrees on. There is no side, because you get there, it's still a whole. So what you're talking about, in terms of the way you perceive, we perceive of this universe, of this space, as having three dimensions. Length, width, what's the other one? Yeah. But now what we're saying is there is a point of a fourth dimension, the new. That which exists outside your frame of reference. Outside your frame of reference. Outside your 3D frame of reference. But see, now you've got to ask the question, how the hell does that happen? How can you have a flat hole, a round hole that's flat on all sides? What am I saying? I'm saying you have to come to a point where you just accept the truth before you can see the truth. You have to accept, wait a minute, I don't get it. I don't get it. Let me ask questions about it. Let me look at it. Let me play with it. Let me examine it. Oh, I get it. I get it. All right. I want you to know how much I love you. I've been thinking about that concept for years, trying to get to a point where I can explain to you how that works. It's like, this is what I do. Oh my God. So now we got this hole. And now what I'm doing to you now, you got to follow me very closely. So what I'm doing to you is putting you in a position where what you think you know doesn't fit. How do you keep this hole open? How do you keep a hole like that open? All right, we know something, all right? We know that the energy inside of it has to be equal to the energy outside of it in order to keep it open. We know that, right? We are looking at a sphere turned inside out. Now go figure that. How do you turn a hole inside out? A 360-degree hole, no matter which direction you look at it from, how do you turn it inside out? It's a hole.
Direction of energy?
I don't know. That's my point. I want you to play with that idea. Because, see, that idea is the same as the idea of the constructs of your mind. Consciousness is the void. God is the exact opposite of what you've been conditioned to understand. Three-dimensional reality. Three-dimensional reality is the reality of form. And it is the over-love of this that prevents us from seeing something more. It is the over-love of form that prevents us from seeing love. It is the over-love of form that prevents us from doing the things we need to do for each other. Those non-physical things. Love, compassion, they are the inside of that hole. They are the unexplainable. You can explain out here. See, I can explain. This hit this hit this, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That's the way it looks, but is that the truth? How do you get a whole that's not a whole that's a whole? How do you do that? Hmm. Hmm. But you know the funny thing about that? When we look at this, we come to this point where everything is coming back here. Everything is coming back together. Now, what have we come to is the end of that idea, so that the new energy is formed, and the new energy will be formed by the pain that you experience and the resistance that you put up until, well, so the idea is once it goes, you have to now remember yourself. Because if you don't remember yourself, you start talking about giving up. You have to surrender at that moment of explosion. Because it's all, you're in this new place, and oh yeah, it's going to be good for a while. And then, this is the nature of learning. This is the nature of growth. This is the nature of life. This is the law.
So, what I'm hearing you say, or what I was feeling as you were talking about the three-dimensional reality and the reality of form, and you said that it's the overlove of form that keeps us from doing the non-physical things that we need to do, like love and compassion. And then did you say that they are like inside of the whole?
They are.
Is that they? Okay, so when it was funny because when you said that, it hit me. It's like a whole, HOLE, and then I thought, oh, whole, WHOLE.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The three dimension, and then that fourth. That's the fourth. That's what makes the whole thing work.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
That's what that is the mechanics. That's the mechanisms. Yes, sir.
What did you mean you have to remember yourself
Ah.
when that happens? Otherwise you surrender and
Otherwise, you quit.
you quit. Yeah.
Yeah. If you remember yourself, you surrender. If you don't remember yourself, you quit. When I say remember yourself, relate to that part of you that is nonverbal. Relate to that part of you that is simply observing what's going on. That part that observes the thoughts, that recognizes the thoughts. See, that's the part of you that is you. That's the part you recognize. The thoughts are like the congealed energy. And it comes before your eyes. It happens within that total sea that is yourself, that is your consciousness. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. It is a speck of ice in the ocean. It's made of the same thing, but it's come to be hard, whereas the ocean is fluid and flexible.
The thought is the speck of ice.
Right. So when I think, oh my God, I've just lost my mind, I've just lost everything, shut up. Relate to that which is going, ain't this a trip? Relate to that. You see what I'm saying?
So you're not going crazy, you're just coming to yourself, I guess. Yeah,
Right. Exactly. You're not going crazy. You were crazy. Now you're coming to who you really are. And see, when I relate to that, there's nothing that can destroy me. Because I realize that this is just the process. And what is doing this? Wow. That I have created is doing this. It's congealing far past the point. See, it's if you look at the way you live now, you are flexible, right? Okay. Well, some of us more flexible than others, and some of us not as flexible as we used to be. But if you look at that final point where you're like this, you're not flexible at all.
Yeah.
Okay. That means you've gone past what is the Goldilocks point. You've gone past it now. You see what I'm saying? So we have to exist in this range, and the only way we exist in that range, the only thing that's in that range permanently is consciousness, what you are. Everything else is a creation of what you are. Does this make sense? All right. Yes, sir. Now we're rolling.
If that is the process that acts of its own accord, then why is it that I'm here?
Because you want to experience being here in that form, in this form. Because this is the way of expansion. Because this is the law of expansion of that void.
So the experience that I want to have in form is the experience of the functioning that you mentioned, not a smaller experience of personality.
Both. Remember, neither this nor that, but both and neither. Remember Tao. Okay? It's both. The problem is we're operating, it's like giving Stevie Wonder a car and say, here, drive it, Stevie. Yeah, okay. There's going to be some problems. Okay? Look. It is the law. It is the law that we must follow, and we must remember ourselves. Remember yourself. Relate to yourself. Relate to the void. You see, I am the void. You are the void. As you relate to it, you lose the stress. That doesn't mean you're not going to have energy going. You're going to. But you won't misunderstand the energy. We misunderstand the energy because we misuse the energy. We put a lid on the energy, we become frustrated. Once we put a lid on the energy, we don't know what to do. We become frustrated. We become angry. Now we're angry. I'm angry with you. Why? I don't know. I don't like the way you button your shirt. You're not angry with him because of the way he buttons or unbuttons his shirt. You're angry because the energy is not flowing as it flows from the first expansion you call the Big Bang. It flows out in all directions. It flows. It's creating. It's bringing about the new. This is what the energy is doing in you. But when you suppress it, you become like a giant star. Okay, well, you got a star like the one that we call Sol, our star, our sun. It's a medium-sized star, not too big, not too small. It's the Goldilocks star. So it creates Goldilocks stuff. But then as you get these huge stars, what happens is the basic elements keep going round and round in there until the pressure and everything creates enough elements around that, and poof, we got hydrogen and we got helium. But there's not quite enough mass to create your heavier stuff like gold, silver, lead, iron. That comes from the big, massive stars. And once they keep doing that and keep doing it, keep putting pressure on, boom, now you got your poisons. You're now out of the Goldilocks zone for life as you know it. Same thing with your pressure inside, your internal pressure. You keep putting it on and putting it on and putting it on and putting it on until you poison yourself. We are poisoned. We die. Not necessarily physically, but we die as a human being. We become so involved with the heavy metals or the heaviness of that form, we forget to be human. Money or gaining things becomes more important than it is to do the best thing possible for the totality of ourselves. That's what we do inside. In order to not do the best thing possible for the totality of myself, I keep turning this energy in. A particle starts at the center of the sun and it makes its way up. And then it's pushed back down and up and down and up and down until it is molded by the pressure and the speed so that it gains electrons and becomes an element, and now out into the universe.
So is that the same thing our thought process doing?
Exactly. But when you don't let the steam off, when you don't do it by doing the brilliantly designed technique, by allowing you to allow that energy to move, it becomes poison. It's the same thing.
So why do we have that ability to not do? I mean, what is that? If the law is the law and it does whatever it does,
Because
that's so-called choice, but why do we have that conflict?
you must have free will. You must have something to cause you to exercise your free will. You must be free to choose. To choose, as Gabby Hayes would say, happy poison. To choose the poison. Or the medicine. It exercises your intelligence. Does that make sense to you? And your ability to create into the next reality.
So, I mean, it makes sense, but it seems like it, in a way, doesn't fit.
It fits. So it fits perfectly.
So
You
how-
say it makes sense. How can it make sense and not fit?
Well,
Tell me. I love this.
I mean, why do we have a structure or a mechanism that is so limiting? But
It's
then
not
you say
limiting.
It's also not limiting.
It's not limiting. It's only limiting when you perceive of it as limiting.
So in God, is there a limiting of perception, or is that a construct of another type?
It's a construct of another type, but it is the same thing. See, you're experiencing the same thing that God experiences. You couldn't experience it if the Creator doesn't experience it. And don't think of God as separate from yourself.
Yeah.
You have to think of you as God. That is the law within God, is the law within you. In order to experience something new. See, God is always creating, always looking for something new. And this is the way it happens. You can't experience and create something new unless you come up against a limitation of what you think you already know.
Okay, well, that seems to fit into your description of law.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I'm a fairly bright boy if you listen to me. I'm also very funny. I'm also crazy if you haven't noticed. I'm a little off center, okay? Kevin.
Your description of consciousness as kind of a base element of everything. Kathy's question is a question that I've had, something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Could you speak more on, you've spoken about love and intelligence. Could you speak more about free will and how does that show up in the analogy that you gave, the example that you gave?
Because
Why is free will so important, and what is it?
it is so important for flexibility. If you're rigid, you can't make that move. Free will creates flexibility. If you're like this, which is stagnant, which is el morte, dead, nothing, no movement, no expansion. So we have to have the ability to wiggle. So to wiggle, to move, to vibrate. We're going back to that space, right? Back to that, in that space where everything, if you don't have that back and forth, nothing happens. You're dead. So free will is the same mentally. It gives you the flexibility mentally to choose this. Oh, that's not it. To choose that. Oh, that's not it. Oh.
So it's a space where intelligence can exercise itself.
Yes. It is the way, the means by which intelligence exercises itself.
But where is it in your example? Your example doesn't seem to it doesn't seem to be in your example of processes.
Of course.
Where is it in the example of congealing around consciousness and working that all the way up the way you did?
It is in the ability to choose form as opposed to remaining only consciousness. To choose that. That is free will. You don't have to choose that, you know. There are other ways in which choices can be made. You don't have to choose that. But seeing that we're here, you chose it. You see what I'm saying? So it's there. I chose to answer that question. I have chosen in the past not to answer that question.
Yeah, I've asked something similar.
Yeah, I know. Today I'm feeling magnanimous. See, I know. You know words. Is magnanimous a good word?
It's a good word.
All right.
So free will is a reflection. Okay. Free will is a reflection of vibration in that it is this and that, this and that, this and that, this and that. This longer than that longer than this, the middle, this and that.
Yeah. It is movement.
Okay.
Free will is the movement. The movement is expressed by that. It is non-expressible. What you have is the limitation of expression. But it's the message, it's the word. You see, the movement is the word. I say to you, slap, slap. Doesn't mean anything. Pow! Oh! That's a slap. Oh, okay, okay. That's a representation. The word slap is a representation of the action. In this case, the action is a representation of the non-physical.
Okay.
Damn, I didn't know that. Thanks, Kevin.
So then, so then, free will. The discussion of it. It's one of those things where it doesn't appear as though it's something. It appears as though it's something on the other side of the fence. We can call it free will over here, but it sounds as though it's not.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can talk about its representation, but you can't talk about it. Good. Good work. Yes, Anna.
I tend to oversimplify a lot, but as we were discussing free will and the shard of ice and the warm ocean water, like when I think of free will, it seems like fun. That's how I see it. Fun.
It
Now,
is.
sometimes fun to the extreme can be horribly miserable, or really joyous. But
Mhm.
that's how I see it, as a gift.
Yeah.
That somehow, by the grace of God and by the skin of my teeth, I have. And
Yes.
that's why I try to milk it for everything I can. Sometimes I go a little too far, but it's taught me a lot of good lessons.
But then that's what free will does. It lets you know when you're going too far, doesn't it? You say, well, maybe I better go back the other way. Oops, I'm falling off the edge of the earth. Maybe I better put on brakes here. Free will makes you make that choice. Sometimes people go, what I'm going to do? Bam, well, you're going to start over. It's called recycling.
So what's the difference between a particle in the sun coming up and down and up and down and up and down until whatever, and a person in their experience or their mind going, I went too far, I didn't go far enough, I don't like this, I don't like that, or coming to peace with at a point where
Okay.
it can move and become something else. It seems like it's the same thing, but it's different.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing in that. See, what happens is you're looking at it. If you're looking at the sun like this, right, and you're looking like zip, 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 zip. It's gaining momentum,
Okay.
and then you get that sun thing. You know that. What do you call it? Sunstorm, sunburst, because it's gained the energy and the momentum now to have escape velocity. Boom. Okay. Now the same thing when a person is in here. You keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between this idea, that idea, this same extreme of the same thing. And finally one day you go, wait a minute, I can't do this any longer. Now you've reached escape velocity. Now what will you do? Will you look up and escape the gravity of those two ideas? Now that you gain the momentum, what's the answer? Bam! Now you've come past the limitation of the idea that you had. You see it's the same thing? Okay. See, the gravity on a particle of consciousness is the same as the gravity on a particle of matter. Wait a minute. There was a hand back here before yours. Okay. Oh, you just okay. Who was that? Yeah.
So the word and the stress that you talked about before within ourselves is caused because we have we are free to choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that free will is only a lesson for us to learn that we cannot go against the change because the change is the process and the process is always in the process.
Yeah.
That's it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You know, too, you want to understand that by going back and forth like that, you're exercising your free will, right? But what you're doing in exercising that is exercising it sideways. So you never get free. So what you do is you exercise your free will and say, whoa, stop. Whoa. Now let me listen, let me see something new. Now you've exercised free will in this way, if that makes sense to you. And I just lied to you, but that's not really the directions because there are no directions. But it's just to give your mind something so that you can see the point, so that you can make the point, that I can make the point. Make sense? Were you asking a question,
Yeah,
David?
You were talking about what is the difference between that and boom, 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 boom?
Oh, because this, when you hold your hands like that,
Right,
see what you're giving me is a sphere.
right,
And when you do that, you're giving me a straight line.
right,
This is all encompassing, 360 degrees.
right,
This is just 180 degrees.
right. But
It's
that
on the same line.
Okay, so that, I mean, the moments where you expand and then you come back, is that something that's correct? That should happen?
Yes.
This is what we're attempting to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Until you decide, wait a
It's a
minute.
decision to
Yes.
free.
Yes.
Is it a point of self-recognition decision or a point of will decision, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. Will makes you go, wait a minute, this ain't working. Okay. Will gives you the power to stop. Recognition gives you the power to expand. Will is the brake. Recognition is the gas.
Break to do something different,
Right. To stop.
to stop the back and forth here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Doctor asked me, he says, did you smoke? Yep. How'd you quit? I quit. Well, what does that mean? It means quit. Well, what did you do? I quit. See what I'm saying? That's it. No more.
Without tension, without just
Right. Surrender. It's just, this is tension, right? No tension. Make sense?
yes.
Okay.
In your example, it seems that tension is required. Like, no, the question is tension required, or is surrender required? Can you surrender before tension and not have the tension? Or must you have the tension?
You
and
must
then
have the
surrender?
tension.
And then surrender.
Right. Tension is required, but surrender is required. Tension is required to let you know something's wrong. Okay? Now, surrender lets you know there's a way out.
So, like, instead of me getting pissed off walking out,
Yeah.
sitting there and looking at everything, and so surrender is accepting that something is different.
Bingo.
Okay.
That's what you did. When something ain't right. It's all set up like I saw, but see, you're going through the tension now. All of a sudden you went, wait a minute, let me look. No tension. Oh! There it is. Got it?
Yeah, that's a different definition of surrender than I've been assuming that you meant.
Yeah. See, one of the things you have to realize about this thing is that I am not a dictator. Okay? Here's what you find. Now, I ain't talking about nobody, but I'm talking about somebody. Okay? Okay? This is what you think. No. See, I'm for real. And for real says that I must encourage people to be themselves and to decide for themselves and to exercise their mentality and understand for themselves. You see what I'm saying? So I don't always tell you what the answer is, because I want you to have that stress. I want you to have that misery, because that teaches you to go, whoa. Let me stop and let me think about this. That helps you to understand. And this is use of intelligence. It's not like we think of in religions, which is the way religion should not be, but it's not, Yasa Buddha, Nasa Buddha, Jesus, I gonna do this now. It's not that bullshit. Oh, I'm going to fall down on my knees and worship God. That's stupid. What that is a limitation of the mind and the intelligence of human being. It keeps us like this. It keeps us in that heavy lead place. Okay? Buddha said, do these 12 things. So that's what I'm going to do. No. You know, you ever wonder why there were 10 commandments? There were 418 commandments. Moses had to have an elephant to help him bring the tablets off the mount. There were 400 and some commandments. Finally, it was like, shit. God gave me these 10 commandments. You have to stimulate that thing, and that's what I do. You have to stimulate that thought process. Because once you stimulate that process in true thinking, see, when I recognize the truth and you recognize the truth, we see the same truth. And you don't have to be with me or stand up with me. We stand up together apart because we see and recognize the truth. And this is the way it should be. We are helping to grow, and we're helping people to have their autonomy, the power of each individual. That's the difference in us and other things. You will do this. No, you will do this if you want to do this. But if you don't want to be happy, you will do that. You will be unhappy. You want to be happy? This is what you do. But this is choice and the will of an individual. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't always answer your questions directly. Because I want that interplay. I want that tension. Well, maybe there's another way to look at. That's why I say surrender is soft. Okay, you did it softly when you went, let me go back to the basic. That was a surrender of the ideas that you were holding that prevented you from seeing what you needed to see. In your experience, that experience that you had. Now we're talking. Now you know what surrender means.
Yeah, but I want to say that's fucked up. You know, I mean, you're talking like 15 years of not knowing exactly and sitting here looking at you. But through my experience, I know that had you said it or not said it, I still would have had to have had my own moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it took you 15 years. I'm sitting here going, come on, Kevin. Come on. A little more to the right. A little more to the oh. Damn, that hurt, Ananda. Sure did. I saw it. But that's what, you see, this is what real learning and real growth is. Because now it's yours. When I stand outside of you and tell you something, that's me telling you something that's a shadow. It's a shadow to you. It's the whole thing to me. But it's a shadow to you. You hit it. That's yours. Now we both got it. Now we can sit down and have a piece of apple pie together and go on. This is what real learning is, what real growth is. Real change. Otherwise, it's not real. How many times have you gone to church and see the same people get saved 18 times? There's this big woman used to get saved every Sunday. Every Sunday she gets saved, go to shouting and hit somebody, and the people, oh. And I remember sitting there with my aunt. I had an aunt called Monk. I tell you something about my Aunt Monk. She comes to shout. My aunt sat down beside her, and I was sitting next to my aunt, and she says, "This is in church, bitch. If you hit me, I'm gonna beat your ass." She shouted with one arm, "Oh, oh," to the other side. See, I learned about religion early. I learned that every shout ain't a shout. But my point is the falseness of that change. See, what we're talking about here is real effort, real change. And that is my understanding, not my sitting up feeling the energy of whatever it is. I may as well be in the juke joint. I'm feeling it, I'm feeling good. I used to wonder, because I went to several churches, and the one I liked the best was the Holy Rollers, because they got to roll up in blankets with women. Get to rolling around, they get to playing that guitar. It was like, whoa, it's a teenage boy's dream. Oh, get the Holy Spirit and a couple of fields. The real. So what we want here is to open that thing so that you get that experience. Now you know, now you understand. For real. Not bullshit, but for real.
I recently had the realization that I was thinking about my fantasies about my life. How as a kid I might want to do this or that. Or even things that I may have chosen to stop doing or to not do.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that no matter which fantasy I had lived out, all of them would have led to this point of feeling this way about life.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, not if I had done this. Then I thought that I realized that for me, it kind of wouldn't have been worth living. I couldn't imagine myself not being at this point of crisis that has bugged me for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly enjoy it, but I can't imagine life not leading to this. It almost seems like that's not a life I would want to lead for myself.
Think about something. Think about it not as a moment of crisis, but as a moment of learning, a moment of growth, a moment of possibility, a moment of change. You see, if you think of it as a moment of crisis, that's a negative, that's a weight. You think of it as a moment of change, a moment of position to see, it's an opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So your action on the energy, on the lid on the energy will be different. But every fantasy you had, I had. Everyone else has had in one way or another. And one of the things we find out about the fantasies, they're not real. They're not real. You can't make them real. I remember my first sexual experience was like, was that it? Damn.
Didn't stop you from going back for more.
Yeah, but I found out that was good enough. That's good enough. I don't have to go down to the toy shop. I'm good. Can we dress her in harem outfit like a harem girl? I don't need all that. Naked is good. That's good enough. What it is good enough. You see what I'm saying? About anything. I just use that as an example. But about anything. Don't have to fix it up. I hate vegetables. I hate them. Well, hate is a strong word. But every day, bzzz, I don't have to taste them. I have to get them in there. Fantasies. What are fantasies? Fantasies are for people who don't know. Truth and reality are for those who want to know and who have surrendered, and the truth is enough. The truth is enough. It's just enough. I don't have to be Superman. I'm good. I can't be Superman. I'm good. Was discussing in New York with people about, I laugh about that guy kicking me that time, and I'm going, there's just too much violence in the world. Well, you know, when that girl whooped Ronda Rousey's butt, she wanted to commit suicide. It knocked everything out. It knocked all the fantasy of how big and bad and tough I am. Knocked it right out of her. I want to commit suicide. Well, it didn't knock all of it out of her. It should have knocked that out too. Then you would have been like, ah. But see, the beauty of that, the woman who knocked Ronda Rousey out last night got whooped.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, last night, woman came out, went pop, grabbed her, choked her. There you go. So much for the baddest people in the world. So much for the fantasy of all the bad people. There's always somebody that's going to choke you. Fantasy. There's always something that comes along that destroys the fantasy. What does it mean to be the Buddha? Everybody outside of Buddha had a fantasy about what Buddha was. Buddha said, hey, I'm just a guy. I'm just passing through. Everybody outside of Yahushua or Jesus had a fantasy about what he was. He said, hey, I'm just a guy passing through. I'm just passing through. Go down here and make me some wine. Anybody got any water? You got any wine? You ain't got no wine? You got some water? Okay, all right. Everybody have a good time. You need some fish to go with that wine? You want red or white? You having fish? White wine. There you go.
Don't forget the bread.
All he's saying is, this is what I am. The fantasy came from outside. The fantasy. So we needed the fantasies to understand that the truth is enough. It's enough. It's good enough. This is good enough. It's better than the alternative right now. You know. Yeah, I don't move like I used to, but it's good enough. It's called movement. Here I come. Take me a while to get there, but I'll get there. It's okay. You see what I'm saying? So this is peace. This is what peace is. Not wishing for something that is not. Not wishing for something that cannot be. Living in the now, here and now, accepting it totally for what it is, and going through that thing that will take you to the next point. And that next point will let you see something more about the truth that you thought you knew. And then next, because it lets you know about the truth, because you constantly create something new. And the truth is you create something new. So the thing that you create is not the truth, but the truth is you create something new. Does this make sense to you?
Is that what makes, when you said people don't want to see the flip side of, you said God and the devil, you said what? People like creation, but they don't like the flip side of that. But is it really destruction, or is it just continually creating something new?
Just continually creating something new. You know, we talk about good and evil. Well, that's somebody who doesn't understand. There's no good and evil. There's only God. There's only it. When I say that, and there is no you. There's no me. There's only it. There's only God. There's only the void that is that I am. I recognize myself. You recognize yourself, we recognize the same self. But you can still act as you, and I can still act as me. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you don't, but yeah.
I'm. Your example came to mind when you said that. So the fact that we are the same, and the fact that we're different, or the fact that there's only one, and I can do what I do, and you can do what you do, but there can still be only one, is back to describing that kind of circle you were talking about.
Okay. Yes. Yes. You see, one of the things that I try to do here, I try to confuse your mind.
It's already confused, but okay.
I try to confuse it in a constructive way, though.
Okay.
You see, I'm trying to confuse it because you're used to thinking only in linear terms. It does not exist in linear terms. It exists in that manner, but that manner is not full. You follow what I'm saying? It's not full. So what I'm trying to do is cause you to go, well, wait, what? Now, instead of going, what? I want you to go, what? Oh, the new. There's another way. There's another way of looking at it, other than the linear progression. That's why I use all language in all kinds of manners. That's why, because I want you to understand you have to break whatever thing that controls you about language. Whatever thing that controls you about it. I'll be talking to you about something deadly serious, and right in the middle of it, I tell you a dumbass joke. What am I saying? I'm saying, break the chain. See it from all directions. And only when you see it from all directions as, quote, God sees it, can you come home to God. Can you relate to yourself? Can you relate to the void? Can you relate to what you are? Only then. And that's going home to God. It's not going to some emerald city somewhere. It's not going home to some place filled with gold. It's like, that's always puzzled me. Gold. It's only a shiny metal. I understand you put value on it, but why would that value be in heaven? Why would that be? Why not aluminum? The streets are filled with aluminum. I would prefer it be filled with bacon. I like bacon. Oh man, this is heaven. The streets are filled with bacon. There's a bacon tree over there. The pork chop tree has no cholesterol. Wow. This is heaven. A Haagen-Dazs stream and chocolate. No calories. Oh man. I prefer that heaven be, I just be buffed. I don't have to go to the gym. I wake up and I buff up. I prefer. But it makes no sense. That is the linear mind, and that is one of the things that I hope to help you kind of get through and see something different. Because if you stay in that linear mind, you stay in the world of trouble. You stay in a world of turmoil. And I mean non-loving turmoil. You see, the turmoil you find inside when you come up against something you know you need to change is a loving turmoil. Once you understand, you can move past that. And you can move into new ideas. You can begin to think about that black hole. What's happening in that black hole? How can that be? Why can that be? Because the answers that are in there are in the same void that is in here. Are they different? I don't think so. Are they part of the consciousness of the dreamer? And they are a part of the consciousness of the dreamer. But who is the dreamer? Question for you to answer. Who is the dreamer? You know the dream. You're living in the dream. But who is the dreamer? Thank you for your time. I had a good time today. Peace out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.